What's up, guys? It's TRT77, and this is my Season 9 EDC Distortion draft analysis. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these. I mean, I haven't uploaded in a long time, but I figured I might as well do it for this. Distortion is the second division of 4. I think it goes Origin, Distortion, Temporal, and Spatial. The format this season is that they've banned like the top 25 mons in draft. I think all the stuff like the Zapdoses, the Tornaduses, all that stuff is gone. No Landorus. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, not the Tornaduses because Torna is still a thing. But like basically most of the broken stuff is gone. But somehow Megazard and Clefable survived the purge. But it's an interesting draft format, especially with a lot of leagues doing unbans with this meta getting old. I think it was actually a good idea. I will link the doc below so you all will have a good idea of, the point valuations and which mons are gone and everything. Basically, we got pick 8 out of 16, which is the most TRT luck with draft picks I can possibly imagine. Like, pick 8 out of 16 is legitimately the worst place to be, especially considering the fact that I think we had too many points. I think we didn't realize this when we were planning this draft, but 115 for 9 to 12 was point valuation, and it was just way too much, and like that just makes the middle draft pick even worse. So going into the draft, I just thought 100% I was going to get Rotom Wash with pick 8, because I just thought, this is the best facilitator left on the board, and with the elite offense gone, everything else from there was just trying to pick and, modify a team to what I get, and basically the pivots matter a lot. And I thought, okay, Rotom Wash is an elite pivot, and I thought I could go that, and then Rotom Wash went pick 2, and I was like, oh my god, okay. So I had to pivot fast, and I just thought I'm gonna stick with the same idea. And my first pick, which I got a little clowned for, but I do not care, was Carbonite. Carbonite pick 8 overall. I think Carbonite in this format is better than what it normally is in Nat decks. I think it's a little less passive and a little more of a pivot because there's fewer things that can just outright kill it. I thought, with this pick, I thought, okay, one, I'm getting some removal, getting rid of my steel type requirement, getting a very solid pivot. Yes, it does have setup options, but I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not something you're gonna see consistently run. I think as a whole, after Rotom Wash, this mon was the best mon to facilitate offense. And the other thing for me, which I was really thinking at the time I drafted this, was, okay, if I need to shift to playing balance, again, it's a very good pick to play balance with. So I think Corv was a very solid first round pick. And then in the time that it went from round 1 to round 2, I think that a lot of the things I wanted went in that time. Like, I was looking at Dragonite, I was looking at Como. Obviously, Dragonite, I should have probably taken it round 1 if I wanted it. But I was looking at a lot of different things, and a lot of things just got taken. But one thing stood out, and that was our second pick, and that is Cortana. Now, if you're wondering why I got 2 steel types in the first 2 rounds, both without rocks, Cortana, I feel like, is elite in this tier, at least. Like, within these tiers, I think it's a fantastic breaker. I think that it overall does supersede some of the other mons in this tier overall. Like, it does beat a lot of things. It is very difficult to handle and deal with, especially with a lot of faster threats gone. And with a lot of the faster picks gone, like a lot of the faster Scarfers and stuff gone, I think Scarf card or a speed boosting card. I mean, the thing is, it's basically just with both Corv and card, they don't have a whole lot of set variants. There's like 3 to 4 sets top, but I think all 4 really compensate, and like they're so good at what they do in those specific roles. I think you don't really have to do something special or out of the way with these mons to get the desired result. And I think just checking cart, the other thing with cart I feel like is the threat of cart sometimes is better than cart, because the threat of cart has people building a certain way. It's having those Scarfers have to be faster than cart. It's having a lot of mons have to compensate for taking those extra hits, the extra rocky helmets. It's a lot of small things that card adds a little extra pressure to in this format particularly, I feel. Moving on, when we got to our third round, I really, for some reason, thought I should probably I wanted a special attacker because once I've gotten cart, like that's my elite physical offense. I was thinking, okay, I need to move on to try getting something special. I wanted to get one of the Thunderouses because I was like, okay, like there are no electric types on this draft board. Like Zeraora's gone. There's like no freaking electric types. Also, I apologize right now if you hear the sound outside. There's construction work going on, and they have been working around the clock. The most busy construction crew in history, guys. But I wanted a special attacker, and I was considering Thundi I. But then I did talk to a couple people who made me think better of it, and our third pick ended up being Thunderous Therian. Now, obviously, Thunderous Therian is the slower of the two Thundis, but it hits like a freight train on the special side, and it does come with the added boost of having Volt Absorb, which is absolutely great for Carbonite. And in addition, this is like another Mon that's like, for being honest, like it pivots around really well, but it can function as a breaker, a scarfer, a setup sweeper. It's got so many roles that it can play. And in a format where people are not particularly prioritizing electric resists, and that became a huge trend throughout the draft because people were really, with Zapdos and Zeraora gone, a lot of people were not really giving two craps about, picking up those electric resists, which I did not agree with, but it became more clear to me that the value of Thunderous definitely went up. Now, moving on to our fourth pick, we have Cinderace. Now, I needed speed. I was circling around Barraskewda on my dock for like 20 minutes looking at the wall and just thinking, okay, this is good into the top tier mons, but do I really want it? Because I had a water type I wanted in mind that I did get later, and I did not want to have two mono water types. And Cinderace was somehow made it round 4 and was there in the middle of the draft, and I ended up sniping like I don't know how many people off this mon, but I think Cinderace provides us a great option for speed. I know 119 is not quite like having a mon that's 130, but like in this draft, I think quality speed option that I can bring to every game. It's not like a freaking Jolteon. Like I can actually bring Cinderace to every game if I needed to. It does its job well offensively. Again, kind of sort of in the theme of Cart and Cov. Cinderace not got a whole lot of set variants, but it does its job well. It does what it does well. And, going in 4 picks in, this is the most removal I think I've ever drafted in my life. Even though, if I'm being honest, I'm not really going to bring Defog Guard. If I bring Defog Guard, you probably know that I've been kidnapped. And someone's making me run it at gunpoint. Probably JCabs. JK, he'd make it an assault vest. But, yeah, so Cinderace was kind of a no-brainer pickup with the speed tiers. I think it fits well with the team. Yes, it's not a great fire resist, which is true to the fact, yes, it's pretty frail. It's never going to be like a real switch in for Core for Cortana, but that is something we do address later on. But I think it does what it has to do well. And the other thing is the pivoting options in this team. Right now we have 3 out of 4 mons pivoting, and the one mon that doesn't pivot is Cortana, which is the mon I'm trying to get in. So I'm pretty happy about the way the team has turned out so far. But moving on to the next round, I felt it was important to prioritize getting a bulky water, and our 5th round pick was Manafee. Now, I was between Suicune and Manafee, and then Tago bonked me on the head and said, don't go Suicune. And I understood that. Manafee's got the pivoting option. It's got a lot more set variants. Compared to the other mons, it kind of breaks the theme of the team, where it actually has a lot of different sets it can run. Obviously, this being Gen 8, this is not a Tail Glow Manafee, but you all know I'm a hoe for calm minding water types. It's not that I'm going to run it every week, but I like the threat of it. And I like the fact that Manafee comes with a lot of extra utility, a lot of good coverage. It gets energy balls so that it's not walled by water types. Hydration is a useful ability in some matchups, I do think. Obviously, it's not a great ability, but it can work out in some matchups. Certain sweeper sets benefit from it. And I think overall Manafee is a very solid pickup. And I think as a mon, it does its job well. It's a good, reliable fire resist, even though it's probably not the greatest check to Infernape, which is right now the mon that's troubling me, but that's also something I address as we go forward. And Going forward to round 6, I really thought, okay, here's where I pick up my Mega. And obviously, this being a points draft, you don't have to pick up a Mega, but I just thought there was a lot of Megas with good value. You had Mega Sceptile at 5, you had Mega Glalie at like 4, and I was really circling around Mega Pinsir for a long time. But then, my plan, which had Mega Pinsir on it, I had Azu. And when I chose not to go Azu and I went Manafee instead, I just thought, okay, I do need a fairy, and I need a usable fairy. I am not that guy who's drafting Alchemy and saying I have a fairy on my team. I'm not drafting Clefairy and being like, oh my god, go lo and behold my child, take a close combat. I really wanted a usable fairy, and I also didn't have a dragon to this point. So I think you can see where I'm going with this. Round 6, we got Mega Altaria. Mega Altaria was 10 points. And I personally believe that's a pretty big steal considering the mons that are gone. And I think for what it does, both physical and special, the number of setup sets, the utility it provides, plus the unique typing actually lets it switch into things that other mons don't. It works as a fire resist, it works as a fighting resist. If I don't Mega, it's immune to ground. Like, having that natural cure ability before it Mega evolves is really useful. And also, there's a lot of teams, because, so the main thing with most of the mons that were snapped out of existence were fairies. Like, all the Tapus are gone except, Bulu. Although they did ban original Bulu, which is Rillaboom. But, like, most of the really good fairies were gone, with the exception of Clefable. Again, I don't know why, but a lot of teams kind of deprioritized checking fairies, and I feel like it kind of showed with the teams in the end. I mean, yes, everyone still got a steel type, but I think having this mon being able to come in there and be annoying with either a Dragon Dance set or a special set, Hyper Voice can be so useful in this meta. Like, I feel like, and the fact that it can just be bulky and fat, and it's got such a good speed tier at 80, I feel like it's a very solid speed tier right in the middle there. I feel like Mecha Alt was a really good pickup, and I feel like its utility to the squad is underrated. Manafee was also 10 points, by the way, which again, I don't think it's terrible for Manafee. I think it's, like, I don't think it's a huge steal, but I do think it's a steal in terms of relative value. Considering Azu was 13, Suicune was 12, I think in terms of relative value, Manafee was good value. Now, moving on to round 7, God, counting, yeah. I got my boy Diggersby. Now, if you're a new player and you're wondering why I picked up a mon that has 56 attack, Diggersby has the ability Huge Power, which doubles its attack. Essentially, an Adamant Diggersby has like 15 less attack than Kyurem Black. So, Diggersby hits like a freight train, gets all the coverage in the world. You all know how much I love this mon. It's basically my mascot without being my mascot. Obviously, it was easier to pick it up this draft because I didn't have to worry about, oh my god, I have to worry about switching into Zera and stuff. Nah. A lot easier to pick it up this draft. I had one of the Thundis. I have outs to the other Thundi. So I'm not too worried about, Diggersby not being that great in electric resist. And it provides my team something I did not have thus far, which is reliable priority with quick attack. Y'all have seen me run like every set under the sun with this thing. Like, it's just so versatile, and it's such a good Pokemon, such a good Scarf. I know it's a similar speed tier to Alt, but I feel like that's not going to come into play as much as it would seem, especially considering the roles I would have each of them play in. And I think overall Diggersby is a very, very good ad here. I'm really glad I was able to pick it up. And it was 8 points. This was almost a dare by the admin team. Like, I was there during tiering, and I am a modern EDC, but like, this was like a dare, leaving it at 8 points. I was like, hell no. I gotta make a point with this thing this season. Moving on to round 8, we did pick up Uxie. Now, I have 2 steel types and a ground type, and no rocker. So I needed a rocker very badly, and I wanted something reliable. And yes, I think I did overpay for Uxie a little bit here. I paid 11 points for Uxie here, but I think it was worth it because it really fits the team. For one, obviously it does fill a speed tier on paper. I don't think it's really, like, I do feel like I still have the speed tier gap between Alt and I would say Manafee right now, but I feel like it does fill that speed tier gap on paper, but I don't think it really is. Like, Uxie is not really a base 95 mon. You're never gonna really run timid Uxie. But the amount of utility this thing gets with D-Wave, Rocks, Yawn, the fact that it can pivot, the fact that it gets all the coverage in the world, it is so fat to kill. Obviously, its HP stat is not great, but you can see the defense in SPDF. It does take hits quite ably. It does work quite well as another defensive pivot along with Corv. Obviously, there are some setup variants of it. I don't know if I'm going to get that wild this season, but it is a possibility. You never know. But I think Yuxi this is my first time drafting half the mons in this team, and I think Yuxi fit the team pretty well. Now, moving on, my next pickup was Darth Panda, Pangoro coming back into the squad. I love this Pokemon. I just love this Pokemon. Like, I did get sniped on Gala, Moltres, and Reuniclus, which made me go Yuxi and Pangoro, but like, I feel like Pangoro was always in the back of my head, something I was going to pick up. Hits like an absolute freight train. It is so ridiculously hard to switch into this thing. And in a meta game where there's fewer fairies, it is even harder to switch into this thing, and no one is going to talk about that. Yes, it's slow, but it is still something that's so hard to switch into, especially a lot of teams that play balance. This is the type of balance breaker mon, like a stall breaker, wall breaker type mon that you really need on these drafts. And I feel like with CC and Knock alone, plus like, you know, it does get priority in Bullet Punch, does get coverage in Gunk Shot, does get Rock Slide. It's got the moves to really carry it through, and it's not that frail. With that 95 HP stat, it actually can take a hit, and usually if something is not killing Pangoro, it is dying to Pangoro, which is really important in my mind. And it does fulfill the role of Dark type, but I am not, like, I'm gonna be real honest with you, I'm not looking at Diggersby or Pangoro as counters to something like a Spectrier. I do think Diggersby can ably check Gengar to an extent, but like the fact that both these boys are weak to fighting, I do think I have fighting covered with Yuxi and Mega Alt. I don't think there should be too much of an issue, because you have to run two different coverage moves to hit both. But I do feel like I needed a little bit more to deal with the ghosts. And in general, I feel like, you know, I needed another rocker. And going into our next pick, we have Kecleon back from our TVA Season 5 run. Kecleon is such a good Pokemon. Like, this thing, because of Protean, like, I've heard, spoiler alert for Gen 9, you have 3 seconds for anyone who doesn't want to get spoilered. 1, 2, 3. I've heard that Protean is getting nerfed next gen, which is so sad. I hope it is not true, because Kecleon will be affected. I don't give a rat's ass about Greninja. This mon is just so good with Protean. It's so bulky on the special side, and you can just whip an Assault Vest on it and nothing kills it. Like, I've had a game on this channel which I've uploaded where Tornadus couldn't do 28 to it to kill it, and it killed Torn with Ice Punch. And I think overall, Kecleon's a really good mon. It's also a rocker, which, you know, I know it's not a great rocker on paper, but like, it just adds that option. If should I need it in a certain matchup, it performs 2 roles. I don't think it necessarily always needs Assault Vest. It does have Recover, so it can recover, even though it's not probably something I'm going to bring. It's an option. It also does have Priority Sneak, Priority Sucker Punch. It does get options. So, going away a little bit from the theme of my team in the beginning, where I had a lot of mons, you know, which like 2 or 3 sets that do their job well, I moved into a more versatile middle ground towards the middle of the draft. Now, going forward, I had one last pick left. I had 1 point left, and I'm gonna be honest with you, before I picked up Kecleon, I was gonna go this really wacky Hail Core with Aurorus and Arctovish, because I was like, okay, Aurorus is a rocker technically, but then my team would have just been so fighting weak, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think I would have ever really brought it unless to like screw with somebody, because realistically, my team is usable 1 through 11. Like, I always end up with a team that's usable 1 through 11, and so King Rock and Charizard kind of talked me out of the Hail Core shenanigans, and that's why I got Kecleon. So I needed a 1-pointer to boot, and I went through the 1-point tier longer than I think I looked over anything else. because I was kind of confident in what I wanted, and we didn't really get sniped too much in this draft outside of the Rotom Wash pick, really. So my last pick in this draft was Eggy. Kanto Eggy. I love the fact that I could get this at 1 point. I think it's really good value for 1 point. Yes, Citrus Berry Harvest shenanigans can be a thing, or Trick Room can be a thing. This thing can teleport. And this thing does, it's a very shitty future porter, but you can future port with it. I do think the 10 Spit F boost that it got in Gen 7 is huge for this thing because it can take hits. It can be useful in the least. I do think, and the fact that it gets setup options on both sides, it actually hits quite hard and actually has quite good coverage because of, that Gen 1 energy. I do think Kecleon and Eggy, in the end, actually ended up being quite good for my team because my mindset going those last 2 picks was, I have 5 points left. It's not going to tip the scales too much, but I think my team's quite benefited from having them on there. So, if you want to take a full look at my team, guys, this is it, straight from the dock. It's Corvcart, Thundi, Cinderace, Manafee, Mega Altaria, Diggersby, Yuxi, Pangoro, Kecleon, and Exeggutor. I think my team is pretty solid. I quite like it. I was kind of nervous in the beginning when I went Corv Cortana because I was like, I'm taking a risk here. This could blow up in my face. And if I end up with Corv Cart and having to go balance, I will shoot myself. But I didn't have to, and it actually turned out to be quite good. And I think we've got a good mix of breakers and bulk. Obviously, this is a team that's designed to be played with bulky offense. I've not really got balance elements here. I've not really got wish passing and stuff like that. I do believe that having Cortana makes a huge difference here because it's going to change the way people build against my team. And that's going to free up my other mons a little bit. This is the final setting of the team. If you guys have any questions, want to shit on me, anything like that, it still increases my number of comments, which apparently is important for YouTube, but I wouldn't know that because I'm a shitty YouTuber. But, leave me a comment below. But that's just gonna be it from me, guys. I will be uploading this season. I will try to upload as much as I can. Hopefully I can keep up with the games. But that's gonna be it from me, guys. This is TRT77. This is me signing off.